I'm joined today by Jez Hyland, who is the chairman of the Lincolnshire Festival 2025. Jez, first off, what is the Festival 2025? I know most of the people watching this are going to know what it is, but there's going to be some younger Masons where it gets mentioned in the lodge meeting and they have absolutely no idea what it is.
Agree, Chris, agree. And understanding the cycle, you've got to start really at the beginning and just say, what is that 11-year cycle? And I try and summarise it that you're in festival half the time and you're out festival half the time. But Freemasons nationally, there's 44 provinces commit to being in festival and 4 go in each year, which is why it's an 11-year cycle. When you're in festival, you're supporting others. When you're out a festival, others are supporting you. The true essence of Freemasonry.
Supporting in what way?
Yeah. So while you're in festival, your focus is to raise funds for our charity, the Masonic Charitable Foundation, the MCF. So we're gearing up to put money to the MCF with a goal of over that 5.5 year period, £2.25 million.
That's in Lincolnshire?
Via Lincolnshire into the Masonic Charitable Foundation's funds. Yeah.
Okay, so for a period of 5.5 years, it is not our target, but our hope and expectation that as a province, between the 74, 75 lodges, that we will raise in a combined way £2.5 million.
2.25 is the goal.
Okay.
2.25.
And it's going into a big pot in London.
Correct.
That we'll never see again.
Absolutely incorrect.
Go on.
Yeah. And this is the big myth. If you take, the MCF formed just over 5 years ago. If you take the last 5 years impact reports, and they're online, every brother that's out there looking at this today can just Google Masonic Charitable Foundation impact report for Lincolnshire, and they'll get to a link and they can see each year the money that's come back to Lincolnshire. So over the 5-year period, just since the MCF launch, so the last 5 impact reports, if you combine the figures of funds that have been given back into Lincolnshire, you will see the figure of £1.7 million. So I can see you're going to ask another question. I'm going to preempt it, Chris. That if you divide that 1.7 by 5 and then multiply it up by 11, because that's what we're going to potentially get, because we get the money from the MCF every year in Lincolnshire, whether or not in or out a festival.
So whether I'm putting my 20 quid in the envelope or my standing order, this money still comes through?
Correct. So the MCF will support Lincolnshire Freemasons, families and the wider community every year over the 11-year cycle. We give and put money into, we raise funds for the MCF for half of the time. So if that number comes back and it continues for the next 5 years, Lincolnshire would receive £3.75 million, even though we only put 2.25 in the pot. So as I said right at the beginning, other provinces are helping us because we're currently more in need than some other provinces that aren't. But that economic cycle may change one day. Who knows?
So we're kind of paying it forward or paying it back, depending on which way, because we've already had the money and we're going to need the money.
Correct.
And each province has their turn to put money in, but they're always taking out. Okay, so where are we on this 2.25 million so far? Because
we're currently on a linear graph. The big boys at the MCF tell me we are absolutely bang on line, having collected £820,000 worth of cash in at the minute, which is only 37% of our goal. However, because of the promises, the MCF feel as if we are on their target to achieve 2.25 million. I think we're slightly below where I would have expected, Chris, and that is down to really only one thing: the numbers of people that have committed to that regular payment promise, that direct debit, because it involves change and people have got to stop something and start something. That's the one thing. If I'm disappointed of anything, it's that I thought we'd get to. I thought we'd get to about 1,000, a third of our membership, and we're currently at between 620, 630.
An awful lot of younger Masons won't actually realise that they can actually contribute to the festival away from just putting the 10 quid in the envelope.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this standing order or direct debit.
It's a direct debit. It is a direct debit that goes direct to our relief chest for the 2025 festival. So, and because of COVID, we've actually, just to go back a step, Chris, the festival finale will be in September 2025. So that will be the end of the festival, end of the fundraising. However, because of COVID, we've been able to negotiate an extension just for direct debits that can go on to September 26, an extra year, and all those promissory pound notes will be included in our figure in the big grand finale at the Lincolnshire Showground in September 25. Because people have promised to give it, they will continue the direct debit, and that won't stop until September 26. If they want to still continue to 26, it's an option.
Are we talking hundreds of pounds a month here?
Whatever's affordable. Whatever is affordable to an individual, that is what they can commit. No more, no less.
So if someone decided, I'm going to put numbers in your mouth here, if someone decided that they wanted to contribute, say, 20, 25 pounds a month, that would not be looked down upon in any way?
That'd be fantastic. Because if they're a taxpayer, you get the uplift of the tax relief or the tax credit on top of that. And then they could tick the 3-year box to take it on to in and around September 26. Multiply that up. It's a good sum of money. And when added to somebody's envelope collections, because it's only the direct debit that gets credited to the lodge up front for everything that you promise, and it gets credited to the individual. So if you've seen at the lodges people with the festival jewel,
they're the blue and green and red ones, aren't they? Yeah. So are those, again, some people might not know this, but what are those medals then?
they're a jewel for a commitment or a pledge to of a certain amount over the term of the festival. And we've got different levels of steward, patron, vice
Everyone
patron.
gets the same medal, they just have a
There's a little bar extra as if you've given a bit more.
Do people have to wear that medal?
No, absolutely not. They don't even need to be presented with it in the lodge. It's everyone's got the choice when it comes to giving, and whether or not they want to be proud of wearing the jewel, as I am. I'm proud of wearing it, but some people aren't.
Okay, so there are some lodges where their festival coordinator or their charity coordinator might not be as strong as other lodges. What should brothers do, and what should charities officers do to ensure that they get greater take-up on these direct debits?
Just ask the question. It's asking the question really of saying, are you in a position to give on a regular basis? It's an easy process, either online or with a manual form. And if somebody wants to do it, I'm sure the charity steward would help somebody complete the form if required.
I tell you what we'll do, in the write-up on YouTube, we'll put a link on there and people can go and have a look at that.
Go direct to it, yeah. So they can do it online, or there is a printable form if they want to fill it in manually and post it to London.
I think it's important, gentlemen, that if you recall on your first degree ceremony, that charity on the northeast corner, which as you quite clearly see is just here, is an absolutely vital element of being a Freemason.
Yes, it is.
And you said that around £300,000 a year comes into Lincolnshire. I'd like to just finish on that point. How much of that goes to local charities and how much of it goes to Freemasons? It is my understanding, through the figures I've worked out, around 100 grand a year goes on local Lincolnshire charities and 200 grand a year goes on Lincolnshire Freemasons. You would have thought that with Freemasonry, why should a Freemason need financial support?
People fall on hard times, Chris. Unfortunately, today's economy is a prime example. The peaks and troughs. People do fall on hard times, but it's not just the individual Freemason. It is a Freemason and their families, that might need support, education for children, unfortunately, people pass away as well. And people are left in hard times after somebody passes without an income. And, you know, the wives and widows may require assistance, as well as children, grandchildren.
I think it's good to know that for all the £10 or that you're putting in the envelopes, you know, 2/3 of that is actually going to a fellow brother that could be in your room with you now.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the last 5 years' stats from the MCF that come through in their impact reports that I've mentioned, over that last five years, 375 Freemasons and their families have been helped. You divide that by 5, that's 75 a year, exactly one per lodge in Lincolnshire every year.
Isn't it amazing that there is one brother in the room with you that's been supported by the £10 or the direct debits that you've mentioned?
Yeah, it's nice to know. It's nice to know that support's there if somebody did fall on hard times, and it could be a brother sat next to you next week at the festive board or me at the festive board.
Thank you for your time today and explaining the festival. And I wish you well, and I wish the province well in meeting its expectations of the 2.25 million.
Thank you, Chris. My final one is a massive thanks to everybody on the exec, all the area coordinators, every single charity steward in the province, and then everyone that's raising money, whether or not they've walked for it, they've run for it, they've jumped out of planes or jumped for it, have cooked for it, baked for it, cycled for it, bungee jumped for it, flown for it, driven for it, Masons and Motors. Thank everyone that's put the time and effort into to raise the funds up to now, and we've still got 2.5 years to go. A good push from now will get us through that final figure, I'm sure.
Thank you for your time today.
Cheers, Chris. Thank you.